Hello, 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 hello. It's the end of December and it's a special time for traditions. And with those traditions can come heightened expectations, societal pressure, and the overwhelming urge to spend or consume. In an effort to thwart all of the more stressful aspects of a holiday season such as this, I've compiled a low buy, no buy, DIY gift guide for the plant lovers in your life, or for certified gift haters such as me, for all of the hard to gift people out there. I feel you, I hear you, I see you, and I want to make it different this year. So without further ado, we dive into what makes a good gift and how to make a good gift this holiday season. So, a little bit of disclosure with this one. Obviously, with limited budget, there's going to be some gifts on this list that may not be applicable to everyone in their current situation without spending a little bit. I have a lot of craft supplies on hand, so some resources available to me I would consider free obviously would not be free if you needed to go and purchase those supplies. So a little bit of wiggle room for the materials in a lot of these. And I hope I've selected things for this list that have some leniency as far as material needs go. So if you can be a little bit flexible and maybe lower your expectations just a little bit to meet those needs, then you can still have a really thoughtful, considerate gift. And on that note, outside of materials, you may need a little bit of artistic ability, and maybe not even directly artistic. It doesn't diminish the thought if you're not a master artist at any of these things. So go into that knowing you'll have to be a little bit flexible. And with those two things in mind, lack of materials, lack of skill, the person receiving your gift should hopefully be someone that you know and value enough that if you were to present them with something from the heart, handcrafted, that they will still receive it well and appreciate your efforts. And personally, be prepared for that not to be the case, because it does happen. It might be jarring for some people to receive a gift that is not straight off the rack like they're expecting. To have something made by hand may not be for everybody. So try to keep that in mind going into it. Is this a person that will value your gift? And if not, how willing are you to accept that reality when they open it and are not gracious for your effort? And then what comes after that? Because it hurts, but it happens. And I've been there, but you can't take it personally. At the very least, you can be glad for yourself that your efforts with the gift have made a positive impact financially and on the planet, and still done something for you. So don't beat yourself up if they don't like it. But if you can avoid it, don't put your whole heart into something if you have a hunch that they may not love it. But hopefully that's not the case. Finally, if there's a person on your gift list that says, "Do not give me a gift, I don't want a gift," the best gift you can give to that person is to honor their request. And truly, as someone that feels overwhelmed receiving gifts, if someone in my life showed up at the function and didn't have a gift for me, I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm not going to feel sad. I'm going to be grateful, because I probably would have felt worse anyway. You can give this person a nice hug, a sweet little note and maybe a piece of fruit or a fancy chocolate bar. You don't have to go out of the way for someone who's saying, please don't do anything. And it's okay to do that. They will be grateful and they will be happy. And they probably got the same thing for you. That's how they want it. Now, with that in mind, if you have a few craft supplies on hand, a little artistic know-how, willing to gift from the heart and a place of vulnerability, even in the face of rejection, and you're ready to make a positive impact on your finances and the planet and the lives of those around you, let's begin the no-buy, low-buy, DIY gift guide for plant lovers. So the first section of my gift guide is the no-buy gifts. So this is assuming you have a good supply of things at your house. You can rummage around and put a little labor into creating a thoughtful handmade gift for the plant lover in your life. So you have to know a little bit about this person to be somewhat selective about your choices. But if they're a potted plant fan, as opposed to a gardener per se, there are many little small items that can add interest to a indoor plant display. Things like plant markers or interesting rocks, pretty little things like seashells or driftwood, things that you can find. I like hagstone. So decorative items such as plant markers. You can DIY cool little plant labels out of tin cans. Someone with a lot of houseplants would probably appreciate a decorative piece rather than another plant. So it's nice to be able to gift something thoughtful to their interests without becoming another mouth to feed, so to speak. So get as fancy as you want with that. I think they look great in plants without taking up a lot of space, and more importantly, without taking up light sources. Or if you would like to give someone more space, macrame hangers make an excellent gift. Fairly simple to do. There's tutorials everywhere, and you can do it with as little or as many supplies as you have available. I have a homemade macrame from my friend that gave it to me in return for saving seeds. That's exactly the kind of gift giving I like doing, is like, here's a thoughtful, affordable, practical gift that me as a plant lover is thrilled to receive. So on that note, seeds for herbs, garden plants, wildflowers, native plants. If you can either buy or collect responsibly from locations to share with other people, they make an excellent gift. You can label them as pretty as you like, especially if you can curate a nice collection of plants to give to somebody. So seeds with a theme, maybe like salsa kit, herb kit, tea kit, native flowers, native plants, annuals, to have a cute little theme and maybe decorate the packaging. Even if you store-bought them and divide them up, you can make an interesting little label just to add some personal touches to the gift, which will certainly be appreciated. If the person on your list is not the type to start plants from seed, and maybe you want to give a little more wow factor with your gift, if you already have houseplants or perennials, propagating those plants with the intentions of gifting them makes a excellent free plant gift opportunity. Lots of houseplants are easy to propagate. I have experimented basically with everything. I've tried cutting a node and rooting it in water and then transplanting it to a new pot. So if you're familiar with the process and you have a lot of plants, even a collection of little plants just to gift makes a really thoughtful and affordable gift option for someone who really likes plants and maybe doesn't have a lot of variety themselves, just a great way to get started. And at the very least, if they're kind of new to plants, you will always be able to take another cutting from your own to gift them a new one. When I gift propagations, it's always under this understanding that maybe this won't survive, but I still want you to try, and if it dies, I'll get you a new one. Maybe the least fancy, least creative gift that I have received as a plant lover is from my friend who has collected all of their eggshells and saves them specifically for me so I can either make water-soluble calcium or throw into my compost. Maybe silly to think of opening your box on Christmas and finding a pile of eggshells, but if this person in your life is into composting or into DIY plant amendments, then something you might not think of as a gift is still a valuable resource to those people, especially if it's something you're throwing in the trash anyway. I think any green-minded person will be grateful that you saved it from the landfill anyway. Don't feel like it has to be fancy or homemade in order to be appreciated, especially when it's given to the right person. And these last ones are for probably the most artistically inclined person. If you are capable of painting or even digital art or sketches, coloring, if you want to make something a little more high effort and thoughtful for a highly valued person on your list, a handmade garden sign or tapestry or barn quilt. I've done engraved wooden signs and painting maybe a image that this person has posted or pictures you've gotten in their garden for someone who lives in a colder climate to be able to see in the winter a piece that you made representing their space and their hard work is really sweet. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be fancy. The sky's the limit with that. And if this is one of those people that say, please don't get me anything, and you want to do at least something, a really cool technique that I've experimented with and has actually come through for me in really last minute situations is to have a fairly nice cardstock paper and cuttings from either the garden outside, I've done herbs, or houseplants inside, and hammering the plant into the paper can create a really cool print. So whether you want to use that as a card and write a nice note, or to make a pretty design, or to capture the essence of a plant, and they smell really good too, so it makes a free 5-minute, okay, maybe not 5 minutes, because I've had some that don't turn out very well, so you might need to spend a little time to get the technique right and to choose your plants selectively to create the best version of this. If you're like me and you have a lot of plant nutrients already available, I use a lot of those to create like a pre-mix plant food, just like as a dry top dress that you can gift in a nice jar, or if you want to be really fancy, turn it into either a liquid feed like a compost tea, or if you want to be really, really fancy, pre-form them into cute little bath bombs with instructions to add these to a jar of water and let them sit overnight to create a entry-level compost tea for houseplants. So someone that's never dabbled in DIY plant supplements, this is a great kind of gateway for a person interested in increasing the plant health of their inside plants as well. And if it's a little too personal to gift plant food to the people on your list, gifting interesting human food, another consumable that doesn't take up a lot of space, is really thoughtful. If you could make like a interesting arrangement of fruits and vegetables, or dried herbs, chilies, dried teas, you can assemble them in a pretty way without taking up too much space. Bonus points if you grew any of that yourself and preserved it. Or fancy olive oils, fancy vinegars, pickles, ferments. Really, if a person is interested in gardening especially, these are cool options because they're probably already a fan of homegrown and preserved items. But you can buy nice, organic, interesting things yourself, and just to put a little personal touch on them, curate a special assembly of those things. And as a bonus, rapid fire, purchase with love gifts. Things that are just objects that can come from a very personal place. If you don't have the opportunity to see somebody in person and you really just want to send a nice gift to someone who's interested in plants or gardening, here are some things that even me as a gift hater, even myself as a gift hater would be happy to receive. Another note here, anything on the list previously, all of the DIY gift guide stuff, if anything struck you on that list and you don't feel qualified to make it yourself, consider purchasing from a craftsperson who is marketing similar, supporting independent makers over mass-produced items is key if you can afford it. So just some things that I like. No brands, no real preferences. These are just simply objects that gardeners, plant lovers will probably appreciate. And these are in no particular order or budget, so you might just have to be more selective to fit your needs specifically. Things, as a gardener, I would appreciate to be gifted. UPF clothing, sun hat, gloves, tool belts, seed gift cards, plant lights, weather station, unique varieties of plants. I was gifted a box of iris bulbs that I was able to plant the following season, which is really cool. They can't be used immediately when I receive them in the dead of winter, but they store okay and they're fine to plant out later. Garden tools. Hori Hori knife is my favorite tool in the garden, and obviously you don't want to just buy something that someone probably already has. So if you know a little bit about this person, if this is a very intimate gift you're giving and you know they don't have one, they would probably love it. I love mine, and I'm not going to list any specific brand, but it's a really valuable tool as a gardener. If it's a houseplant person, maybe not so necessary for them, but admission to botanical gardens or garden tours, farm tours, anything in your area, if you could pay someone's way as a gift, that's a great non-material gift. Online classes, courses for fermentation, canning, permaculture. You have to know these person's interests, and this can get really pricey, but if this is an investment you want to make in that person and you know that they would like to learn, books as well, things of interest to them specifically. And you can do hard copy or digital or blank journals. I use so many books, so a blank book can go a long way for somebody. I'm also a fan of waterproof notebooks and pencils or nice waterproof pens. Coasters. This is great for indoor plant people. Plant stands, just those big cork coasters. I use those all the time. Rain gauge, compost bucket, bokashi starter kit, worms. There's a lot of things that you can just buy and ship to somebody, and you definitely will maybe want to do some research beforehand on this particular person if any of these things would be of interest to them, because they can get expensive and can be overwhelming if they're not ready for that kind of commitment. So things like mushroom logs, really cool. I got a mushroom log one year and it was simple. It's just a kit. You just slash it and it fruits, and it's a good introductory for someone who's maybe not had experience growing mushrooms before. It was really cool, really fun. And then when it was done, it just went in the compost. So minimal waste involved in that, which is pretty neat. So it's most important to understand with the person you're gifting to what their needs are, what their interests are, how much space they have, how much they would use this thing, whether or not they already have one, and whether or not they would want to receive something of that size or investment financially. So whether you've made it from scratch or purchased it with love, I hope your gift giving this year is stress-free, thoughtful, and well received. I hope you have a great holiday season. I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Oh, why is this so hard?